All right. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Coming off your Saturday night, you get a chance to get back. It's a late night, early morning. Going back and watching the film multiple times. Disappointing outcome for the effort that our guys played with. The physicality that they showed. I really don't question any of those things. And I thought guys were ready to play. A lot of desire, a lot of belief. Played well in the first half. Still, left some plays out there that had opportunities for explosives. Had opportunities to put more points on the board, weren't able to capitalize on that. But still, going in 17-3, I was proud of the work that was done. Coming out of the second half, they did a good job in what they're doing. There was a few checks that we had, a few looks that we were trying to take advantage of that were beneficial in the first half. That they tried to they bluffed us on a few, and which gave us some it weren't negative plays, but a couple plays that weren't probably the best looks of what we were trying to get into. But then really in the second half offensively, just never could get into a rhythm. Whether it was drop passes, whether it's penalties, different things. It just could not get a drive going, and it really hurt us. And defense was on the field for a long time. I thought the defense played well. Throughout the game. The first drive of the third quarter was something that we started off great coverage in our kickoff unit. Got them down at 16, but then they had an 84-yard drive. Had missed tackles that showed up. They had the one back shoulder fade. That was a good execution, but we had some missed opportunities even in that drive, where a couple run fits that weren't as clean as what we needed them to be. And that was their one scoring drive. And but throughout the second half, just we didn't do a very good job of flipping the field when we did have to punt. And that was something that. It's been a weapon for us all year, but in this game, we were not as good as what we needed to be, and gave up some short fields, had the turnover. It was just things that built off of each other in that second half. That playing a good football team, I mean that's those things are going to show up and be magnified. And they made the plays, they made the kicks when necessary, but I was. For our guys and the effort that they put forth into the game, and the physicality that showed, I mean, I was proud of them. We just got to continue to eliminate some of those critical and costly mistakes that have shown up. And drop passes really haven't been something that that have. We've had a couple throughout the early part of the season, but I think we had as many in this game. I think ended up having five drop passes, and the thing is that all of them were on either third or fourth downs. And when you sit there and you look, and I think we ended up 5 of 13 on third downs, and to have that many missed opportunities, it's just those are critical plays in the game that really swing the momentum that you have, but also just the rhythm that you're able to get into there, offensively. And you look at the penalties there in the second half. I mean, that's something that killed us. And there's a couple that were not right. I mean, it just. But then there's some that we absolutely had control of, and we got to make sure that we're doing the things that. Making the right decisions, and with all the right intentions, and giving forth effort, but playing with proper fundamentals, technique, doing all those things. We have to be better, because like I said in the post game, 15 yards, that was ultimately a difference in the game. And we gotta make sure that we're taking advantage of that against quality opponents. This week we got a great opportunity. It's great to get back home. We got a primetime game. Obviously playing against a great opponent. They've done a really nice job throughout this year. I think Clemson, you see offense, defense, special teams. I mean, they're really playing at a high level. They're playing with a lot of confidence. You see that they're defensively, it's one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, they've their defensive front forcing unit. I mean, it's really impressive. And they've really kind of honed in who gave up some big plays in a Wake Forest game, just on balls being thrown down the field. But you could see that they're really settled in there. They're in the defensive backfield here these last couple of games and playing at a high level as well. So offensively, you could see that the way that the quarterback is playing with a lot of confidence. He's really coming into his own. They got a great running back. Your receivers have been making plays. Tight ends, they present a lot of different challenges. But our guys are excited. You came back yesterday. Everybody was tired yesterday. When you get back at 4 something in the morning, I thought about pushing things to today, but I just backed it up a few hours, and we were able to go and get practice in, and made the corrections, and it was I thought the guys came out to work, and I was grateful for that. I love this team. I love the mindset of what they bring. It's not nobody wants to have a disappointing outcome. In any game or in any play, but how you choose to respond to things is really what's indicative of the character that you have and the identity of what you're gonna put out. And these guys they continue to work, they continue to believe, and we gotta have a great week of prep to capitalize on what's coming here Saturday night.
All right, first question will be Christine.
You referenced a couple penalties you felt were not right. Is there any follow-up to that as far as talking to the league? Is there anything you can do going further with regards to those?
I mean, the last 2 weeks we've sent in plays, and it doesn't do us a whole lot of good to get the feedback that we're right on after the fact. But it is I appreciate that's one thing about the league is that they go and they reevaluate. They do a nice job of with when it comes to officiating, great communication. The officials throughout the game, whether I agree with the call or disagree with the call, our officiating, they will communicate, and I got a lot of respect for that. And I've got my opinion from what I see, and I don't always see things right either. And so, but you always submit there after the game, and there was a few plays that here these last couple of weeks that they I guess they would in further review see our perspective on what we thought, and but ultimately that it's for us to be able to help build upon it. Anybody can look back and complain about a call or this, and I mean you can do that in coaching calls, you can do that in all things, but for us it's just about how can we help teach our players to play the game the right way, and so they have confidence in what they're doing and how they're doing it, so that we don't find ourselves in situations where you're getting penalized, and especially those critical ones. I mean those are game changers, and but as long as we continue to coach our players and teach them the right ways to do it, and then in the moment they got to apply it, and if we could do that, it'll put us in the best position here moving forward.
Stay here for Brendan.
There seemed to be moments in the game where after a poor play, Jordan seemed to get frustrated. It's hard to tell whether he's getting frustrated with himself or what exactly is happening in the moment. I guess as a coach, how do you handle that in the moment and talking to Jordan, whether getting focused, calm down, what have you? And then I guess do you address that with him in meetings moving forward this week?
Yeah, I mean, playing this game, this is an emotional game, and there's times that you look at a game whenever things are going your way, and then when things are not going your way, where do you let those emotions go? And one thing I always try to tell quarterbacks, all players, just when things aren't going you, whether maybe you're making good decisions and putting the ball in good spots, and maybe not getting the return from that, just keep playing, keep encouraging, keep believing, and Jordan's done a really good job of that throughout the year. Even Saturday, trying to encourage guys. Hey, we got to finish making plays. We got to try to lift up teammates. I know like after the interception the other day, it was nobody wanted that to happen. Whether it's it wasn't a great play call into that look. I can tell. I mean, that's what I could tell him that. I could tell anybody like. They had a good play call defensively for what the play that was being run, and with all the right intentions and everything, probably made a decision that nobody wanted to have happen. But in that moment, it's just, hey, come over, take a deep breath, and it's just you can always let frustration, get the most of you, but you can't let one play carry over and affect the next series or the next play. And so just trying to get to that point. And I think that's a job as a coach. And how I coach on the practice field is much different than how I coach during the game, because and if it's a focus issue, if somebody's not, if there's those things, you'll see me get animated with players and how we communicate. But when it's on game day, it's about communication. What did you see? Where did what was the thought process in the, and this is not just for quarterbacks, but for all positions, so that you can communicate and help them make the adjustment that's necessary as you're moving forward. And I think Jordan, he does such a good job in understanding what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go and the things in that regard. So just trying to help him, and that's like you saw in the Wake Forest game. I thought there was some times there in the second quarter where he's pushing, he's wanting to make that play, and some things that around him weren't necessarily going the way that we wanted it to, and it was probably one of the best in-game transitions for him to really slow down in the second half. And I thought he went out and you saw everything slowed down. He made the play and he continued to push forward. And ultimately, he's done that. And it was frustrating. I know it's frustrating. Like you sit there and when you get in the second half, you're not able to get anything established for whatever reasons. But he is a level-headed and can think and process with everything that's going around. So that's all that I try to communicate with him. And we talk about all things that show up in a game, whether it's a game that you come out successful or a game where you come up short. What are the things that we can do to improve in communication, to improve in thought process, improve in calls, improve in our reactions. And so we talk about it all, and I think Jordan handles himself extremely well, and I appreciate the leadership that he shows, because it's he does it the right way.
We'll go to Hassan in the third row.
You mentioned after the game that the game was on you. Going back and watching the film, what did you see that you need to work on as a coach to get you guys that win?
There's some situational things. You put together game plans, offense, defense, special teams. It's what shows up on film, what shows up in the game. The things of how we execute. It's all on me, because it's my job to have this team prepared. It's my job to make sure that when they come into the game, that they're confident in the plan, they're confident in the adjustments, they're confident in the things that we need to do. I thought I go back and I look at it and I'm like, okay, there's, as the team makes an adjustment, if the team starts disguising things a little different, where can we get our guys to where they're playing confident in that, that they're trusting what they're seeing, that they're, the things that, the adjustments that we're making, that you could see them be quickly executed, throughout the course of a second half or whatever that adjustment needs to be made. And I think we've done a good job of that throughout the course of the year. But then, what were the reasons that we had the missed opportunities? What were the reasons that those things showed up? Is it something that we did in our preparation? It's a big picture approach, but it all falls on me. And it's my job to make sure that I'm doing the things necessary, that we don't have you don't have a second half where you go out there and you have a result of what we put on display. And so I can coach it better. We can continue to grow and help our players in the things that they need to do to be able to execute it better. But it's the ownership of it all, and that's where I've got a lot of confidence in what we're going to be able to accomplish and what we're going to be able to do. But ultimately, what you see, that's on me to do to make sure we do a better job.
All right, we'll go to Ira on your right.
In the last two games, you've had a really poor half offensively in each game. First half against Wake and the second half against NC State. I'm sure you can point to little specific things, but is there anything bigger picture, or is it just fixing this little thing?
It's really in both times. It was, we've got to be able to have the run game established. And I think you saw, if you had told me in the NC State game that we're going to run for over 200 yards, against a really good defense that has not given up that type of production, I was very confident in what it would end up looking like. But there were times in the second half where they did a good job. They penetrated. They were able to create some disruption there in the run game, and we missed a few opportunities with that, and just weren't able to sustain things. But when that's showed up in kind of both of those games where we've had really good production in the run game overall, but there's just those key moments. And then you couple that to not converting on third downs in those segments of time, it's just, I mean, that's what makes offense go. And, you know, we've been a very explosive offense throughout the year. I think we've been a very productive offense throughout the year, but we got to eliminate those segments where, you know, we've kind of gotten into a lull of, you know, just, you know, back-to-back series where we haven't been able to get that rhythm established. And, you know, we showed a good response there the week prior in Wake Forest. You know, obviously it was there at the back end of it, you know, in the NC State game, but you see that even that last drive, you know, obviously you get the first down and here we go. We're able to put together a string of plays together, and it's just, you know, we can't have those segments to where we kind of stall out there just from, you know, our lack of movement.
All right, Corey?
I'm not trying to get you fined, I promise. You've already kind of touched on it, but you talked about a couple of plays that you sent in. I couldn't tell what happened on the Gibbons play. It kind of looked like he got his feet tangled, or the guy kind of, what is the teaching moment you tell Dylan there? And then also the Micah Pittman penalty, like, it looked like he's just trying to rip the ball out as the kid runs out of bounds.
I mean, those
Obviously the Farmer one was crazy, but those other two in particular, I would just.
Well, I mean, ultimately, you know, we've got to make mature choices as we're playing this game. And, you know, I love effort, I love physicality, but we can't put our team in a position to have those negatives. And when it comes to, you know, plays on the sideline, when it comes to plays that are at the end of plays, I mean, we've got to be smart in those situations. And, you know, those are two of the you know, best guys that we have on this team when you talk about care and want to, but ultimately, you know, if it's at 50-50, you're putting a judgment call in somebody else's hands. And, you know, I think that, you know, with all the right intentions, you know, we've got to show our growth and maturity in it as well. And, you know, I don't think it is, or I do think, I mean, it's, you know, those decisions, that's part of a team's growth and controlling the things that we can control. I don't want guys to pull back and not play physical, but, you know, there's also moments that we've got to use that greater sense of exactly where we are and where it is within a play, because, you know, those were two critical penalties in the game. And, you know, I know we can be better in that. And, you know, whether perspective, do I think that it should have been or should not, I know we can be better in those situations.
We'll go to Kurt in the front row.
How did you come out injury-wise in that game? I know Robert Cooper left early, and then moving Dennis Briggs inside, I guess, how did that kind of come about? And how did he kind of, I know he's been there a few times, how did he kind of do there in the second half?
You know, Dennis, you know, his versatility is big for us, and I'll say this, you know, Leonard Warner, you know, Patrick Payton, you know, those guys being able to grow and develop and what they've been able to bring for us, you know, to the edge, you know, getting Jared Verse back, that allowed us, you know, the flexibility to move Dennis in. I mean, we went down, I think it was three defensive tackles in the course of the game. At different points, and so I kind of got forced to having to put Dennis inside, but that's what he played. I mean, he played that, you know, primarily last year. You know, was you know, playing inside before he got injured, and so, you know, being able to utilize that skill set, it's something that's you know, great for us, just being able to have him and the opportunity to do that. But you know, I thought he did well, and, you know, we need to continue to utilize that versatility as we move forward.
Corey?
It was kind of overlooked because of how the game ended, but there was a play I think it was the first quarter, maybe early second, where Johnny Wilson's called, I think, for offensive pass interference on a play that would have had you guys pretty deep in their territory. What did he do wrong on that play? Is that another teaching moment, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely something teaching schematically within the play that could have put it, you know, it's. I don't want to get into all the details, but yes, there's some things we can be better at, and it was bang, you know, on it. But you know, you sit there and there's enough of those critical plays in those moments. You're pushing towards the red zone. You got momentum. You're in a good shape, and then, you know, you go from what would have been right there at a first down to now you're in second and 20, 25. I mean, and it's just, you know, those are those plays you look back. The next play we have a drop on a third down and we're out of field goal range and we have to punt the ball away. But like if you could sit back and you think of all the plays in the game to come up 2 plays short, or 2 points short in the game, there's just so many of them that came up, and it's just, we've got to be better. And I know that I'm not going to point to any others. There's so many different sequences of what you can look back and reflect, and that's what we do as coaches, and that's what you point out to players. You reflect on yourself as a coach, right? What are we doing, and how we're teaching, and make sure the guys can carry it from practice field to the game field. I mean, making sure all those things are on point, but then you show it to players, and this is the details. These are the things, those little things that show up big at the end, especially in those close contests. And and that's what I'll say this. I mean, our guys. That's why I say I say it. I probably won't say it enough. I love coaching this group because they see it, they understand it, they take ownership in it, and then it's like, all right, let's go get it better. And I don't. There's no complaints that I have about the work and the investment and the effort, the physicality that's showing up. It's the consistency in our details. It's something that we talked about when we first got back from fall, coming into fall camp. We need the consistency to show up in those areas because sometimes you get away with it. Say against a lesser opponent or in a moment when last 2 weeks you're playing top 15 teams in the country. This week you're gonna play, I don't even know what they're ranked, but probably pretty high. So you sit there and you play teams like this. Those details, the consistency of your execution, the importance of every play, I mean, that's going to be magnified. And so, but our players, they embrace that. And I've got so much confidence in where this team is going, where this program is going because of it. Because it's not, it's one thing to have a disappointing moment and start hanging your head and start looking, or you can just say, damn it, I'm going to go fix it. I'm going to take ownership in it. I'm going to go and do everything in my power to make sure that does not occur again. And that's what I enjoy about this team. And Sunday night, it's late, everybody's tired, coaches, players, everybody, we're all going through it. But you stand in front of them, say, look, these are the things that I have to do to get better. These are things that we need to do to get better, and these are things that you've got to do to make sure that some of those plays don't show up again. Because, man, I want it all for these kids. Man, they are a great group. And, I know we're going to go to work and we're going to put everything we have in this week to be a better football team than what we were. And if we can accomplish that, then I know we're taking the steps that's ultimately going to pay off to what we all desire.
We'll go to Carter on the left side.
In the second half, until that final drive, every drive you guys had a 3rd and long that led to the drive being stalled. But I'm wondering, why do you think there was so many 3rd and longs, and how do you try to balance trying to get to 3rd and manageable and also being aggressive on early downs?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple twofold. I mean, it was penalties, missed opportunities, and we struggled to some of the things in the run game, that there in the second half where we just they did a good job of creating some penetration, and it was tough to be able to get that rolling, and they did. It was a combination of really all, and we have when you sit there and you look if we can play ahead of the chains and be in those situations, it's something we're definitely trained to do. But ultimately it's twofold. It's things that they did well and things that we didn't do as good of a job as we needed to. Which kind of forced us into some of those longer yardage situations.
Come over here to Brendan.
How did Trayshawn Moore do if there was any sort of testing? Will he possibly be available this week?
Yeah, we'll see as the week goes on with him. Trey is extremely tough. The way that his durability is something that's been such a strength. And he's been such a constant impact for us. And so we'll see as this week goes on. I know if he's gonna do everything in his power to be available, but we'll kind of see as things play out throughout the week.
All right, last one will be Kurt.
Kind of got, I guess, lost in the second half via the punt return decoy late in the first half. But we saw it in practice last week. Was that something on film you thought you might be able to exploit? Was that something just you got to prepare for it in case the moment presents itself? And I know that they caught you saying be smart to Pokey on the broadcast, just how he played that play.
No, I thought he did a great job. You sit there and there's certain things that you see or think you could take advantage of, and you don't really know if the situation's gonna present itself, but that was kind of the perfect situation. We needed to try to create an explosive, you know, it wasn't a whole lot of time. I thought defense did a good job being able to get a stop, allowing us to utilize timeouts and try to get the ball back, forcing the punt, and you know, for Pokey to, you know, it played out. We got the right kick for that we needed. You know, Micah did his job, and everybody within the return unit. I mean, that was one of my favorite plays of the game, not just because of a result, but when you go back and you watch it, you go watch Sidney Williams, watch Brennan Gant. You go watch the details of it. You know, Sidney's coming back. There's a chance where, you know, he could possibly take a shot on a guy and, you know, put himself in jeopardy of getting a penalty. But you see him, you know, lead with his hands, make a good decision. You see Brennan Gant, same thing, just the tempo of what he used to play with. You know, watching all the guys taking the fundamentals of what we teach and apply it just in that play, it was something that was it was great. It was great for us to see. And you know, we see, and those are the plays that just give you so much encouragement for what's coming, because you see guys that are growing up in their own journey. And you know, I think Pokey, you know, did some great things throughout the course of the game. You know, had his plays that, you know, obviously just like all of us, that we'd like to have back. But I mean, he's been a great spark for us this year, and I thought that was a big play. Was able to set up and have Ryan you know, get an opportunity for a big field goal, and that was something in its own right that you know, you talk about somebody that's working his tail off to kind of, you know, break through from some of the experiences that he's had early in the season. And you know, in that moment, it was a big kick, and you know, I think you see everybody saw the joy in the team just kind of rally around him in that. And you know, I'm excited to see how he'll continue to build upon that. But you know, we need all three phases to play big here this week.